When we look at the emergence of India's hidden nuclear power, what we see is not merely a geopolitical event, but a profound metaphor for human existence. Nations, like individuals, carry within them capacities that are not immediately visible. These capacities lie dormant, concealed beneath layers of doubt, fear, and external expectations. The revelation of hidden strength often arrives suddenly, shaking the assumptions of those who underestimated its depth. This mirrors the individual's journey. People carry within them immense reservoirs of potential that they themselves often do not recognize. It is only when circumstances demand courage that the truth of their capability emerges. Just as the world was startled by what India held in reserve, the world can be startled by what you hold in reserve. The concealed becomes the transformational. Consider how most people live their lives in silence, never daring to explore the edges of what they could truly achieve. They accept the roles assigned to them, often smaller than their true size, because to aim higher feels terrifying. There's comfort in mediocrity, and there's safety in staying hidden. But safety is not growth, and mediocrity is not fulfillment. Nations that hide their strength eventually reveal it when history demands it, and the same is true for individuals. The time comes when your refusal to acknowledge your potential becomes unbearable. That moment is the spark of transformation. You are far more powerful than you know. The emergence of hidden power is both frightening and liberating, and it is necessary for survival. Think about what it means for something powerful to remain unseen. It means discipline was required. It means careful construction occurred behind the veil. Nothing emerges from nothing, it is cultivated. India's hidden strength was not the result of chaos, but of deliberate action, strategy, and vision. Similarly, in an individual, potential does not rise out of thin air. It is cultivated in private, in the quiet hours where discipline replaces laziness, and persistence replaces despair. The unseen work is what shocks the world when revealed. You become extraordinary by building quietly when no one is watching. You astonish others because you disciplined yourself when you had every excuse not to. That is the true secret of hidden strength. The problem with potential is that it is terrifying. If you recognize your capacity, you also recognize your responsibility to act on it. That's why so many people keep their strength hidden, even from themselves. It's easier to remain small, to live unnoticed, to convince yourself you cannot make a difference. But deep down, you know this is false. Every time you feel restless, every time you feel unsatisfied, that is your potential calling out to you. The concealment of India's nuclear power was not weakness, it was restraint until the right time. Likewise, you must restrain, build, and then reveal your strength when it is demanded. To deny your potential forever is to betray your very being. Notice how shock arises only when something was underestimated. Why was the world shocked by India's revelation? Because it was dismissed, underestimated, seen as less capable. That is exactly what happens to people who carry hidden depths. The world often writes you off. Teachers, bosses, even family may have looked at you and seen limitation, not possibility. But the truth is not in their eyes, the truth is in your being. When you finally take the responsibility to reveal what you can do, the world has no choice but to reassess you. Respect comes from revealed strength. The same force that shook nations can shake the assumptions around your life. Strength that is hidden too long corrodes into bitterness. If you refuse to live up to your potential, you begin to resent those who do. You see others succeed, and instead of inspiration, you feel envy. That envy is a signal that you have abandoned your own capacity. Do not make that mistake. The secret is not to resent the powerful, but to awaken the power within yourself. Nations reveal strength when they are prepared, but individuals must reveal it when their conscience demands it. Otherwise, the price is despair. Hidden power must emerge, not merely to shock others, but to heal your own soul. Without that emergence, you live as less than you truly are. Think about the immense cost of staying hidden. Every day, you live below your potential. You reinforce the lie that you are incapable. That lie becomes a prison, and over time, you start to forget there was ever more to you. This is the tragedy of wasted life. India's revelation shattered assumptions because it dared to step beyond the prison of global underestimation. It chose to embody its true power. You must do the same. You must refuse to shrink into the shape others give you. The risk of revealing yourself is great, but the cost of never doing so is far greater. You are not small. You only live small when you forget the truth. This is why the metaphor of hidden nuclear strength matters. It teaches us that preparation in silence can lead to transformation in presence. But the lesson is not merely about power, it is about timing. Just as a nation must wait for the right moment to reveal its capacity, so too must you. Patience is as important as strength. Impatience without preparation is chaos. Strength without timing is wasted. You must build, prepare, cultivate discipline, and when the opportunity arises, reveal your power in a way that cannot be ignored. That is how the hidden becomes undeniable. That is how individuals change the trajectory of their lives. And remember, your hidden strength is not simply about achievement, it is about survival. Life is hard, cruel, and unpredictable. Weakness is punished by reality. If you do not cultivate your hidden potential, you will be crushed by circumstances you could have overcome. The revelation of strength is not just about shocking others. It is about proving to yourself that you can survive, endure, and rise. India's revelation was a matter of survival in a harsh global landscape. For you, the same is true in the landscape of your own life. Your survival, your dignity, and your meaning all depend on whether you are willing to reveal what lies hidden within you. Power in itself is not enough. Without responsibility, it becomes destructive, chaotic, even tyrannical. Nations that acquire strength without the discipline of responsibility inevitably collapse into corruption or aggression. India's choice to develop and then reveal its nuclear power was not simply an act of might. It was an act of responsibility toward its people, its sovereignty, and its future. The lesson for individuals is the same. If you want your power to matter, you must carry the burden of responsibility. Power without responsibility is arrogance, but responsibility transforms power into competence, and competence commands respect. The alignment of strength and responsibility is what gives meaning to power. Think about your own life. You may carry intelligence, talent, ambition, or even influence, but without responsibility, all of it drifts into chaos. Responsibility is the anchor that keeps power directed. If you are intelligent but irresponsible, your mind becomes your enemy. If you are strong but irresponsible, you become dangerous to others. That is why responsibility is not optional, it is fundamental. Responsibility is the price you pay to ensure your potential does not corrupt you. And if you refuse that price, your life will collapse under the weight of wasted power. You cannot escape that law. It governs individuals as surely as it governs nations. Responsibility means more than doing what is expected. It means voluntarily taking on burdens you could ignore. It means standing up and saying, "I will carry this weight because no one else will." Nations rise when leaders adopt this attitude, and people rise when individuals do. India's responsibility to its survival required strength, but it also required discipline. The same is true in your life. You must recognize the responsibilities that are yours, and you must embrace them willingly. To evade responsibility is to guarantee weakness. The hidden paradox is that your true strength emerges only when you take responsibility for burdens that frighten you. That is how character is built. Consider the difference between a child and an adult. A child seeks freedom without consequence. They want power without responsibility. But adulthood is the recognition that freedom only exists alongside responsibility. A nation that builds nuclear strength without accepting the responsibility to wield it carefully is a child with a dangerous toy. An individual who chases success without discipline is no different. Real growth comes when you stop running from responsibility and start seeking it. It is through responsibility that you become more than you were yesterday. The avoidance of responsibility keeps you small. The embrace of responsibility transforms you into someone capable. Responsibility is not only about action, it is about meaning. When people ask why life feels empty, the answer is often that they have not taken on enough responsibility. Power without direction does not satisfy, it corrupts and leaves you hollow. But when you align your power with responsibility, you discover meaning. Meaning is not pleasure, it is not comfort. It is the deep satisfaction of knowing that you are carrying weight that matters. That is what every individual secretly longs for. The revelation of strength is not enough. It must be tied to responsibility if it is to satisfy the soul. Otherwise, it poisons the one who holds it. Think of the consequences of irresponsibility. A nation without responsibility risks destabilizing the world. An individual without responsibility destabilizes their own life. If you squander your talents, if you refuse to step up, your relationships fail, your work collapses, and your soul grows resentful. That resentment does not stay hidden, it seeps into everything you do. You begin to blame others, envy those who succeed, and despise yourself. This is the destructive path of power without responsibility, and it is far more common than people realize. The antidote is clear: embrace responsibility before it is too late. The connection between responsibility and power is not arbitrary, it is built into reality itself. Nature does not reward irresponsibility. Those who shirk responsibility are punished, if not immediately, then inevitably. Nations that fail to accept responsibility for their strength are invaded, destabilized, or destroyed. Individuals who fail to accept responsibility for their lives are crushed by chaos, addiction, and despair. Responsibility is the structure that allows power to be sustained. It is not a moral option. It is a survival necessity. And survival, whether of a nation or an individual, is impossible without it. But here's the paradox. People fear responsibility precisely because it feels heavy. They imagine life will be easier without it. They believe freedom means escaping responsibility. Yet the opposite is true. Responsibility is what makes freedom meaningful. Without responsibility, freedom degenerates into chaos, and chaos destroys everything it touches. Nations collapse in chaos, and so do lives. But when responsibility is shouldered, chaos turns into order, and freedom becomes real. Responsibility is not a burden that limits you. It is the very thing that unlocks your capacity to act. It is weight, but it is also wings. Notice how responsibility is always linked to sacrifice. When India took on the responsibility to strengthen itself, it sacrificed comfort, resources, and years of hidden work. But that sacrifice created survival and respect. The same principle governs your life. Every responsibility requires sacrifice of ease and pleasure in the present. But those sacrifices are the seeds of future competence. People who avoid sacrifice end up weaker, less capable, and more fragile. People who embrace sacrifice become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The link between responsibility and sacrifice is unbreakable. Without sacrifice, responsibility is a lie. Without responsibility, power is corruption. The highest form of responsibility is not imposed. It is chosen. You cannot be forced into true responsibility. You must willingly accept it. Nations cannot be coerced into maturity. They must decide it for themselves. And individuals cannot be dragged into responsibility by others. They must say, "This is my burden, and I will carry it." That voluntary choice is where meaning is found. Power combined with chosen responsibility creates greatness. Without it, there is nothing but decay. The lesson is simple. If you wish to wield power rightly, you must first accept responsibility fully, willingly, and without excuses. Strength, when revealed, provokes respect in a way that nothing else can. People do not respect weakness, even if they pity it, because weakness signals vulnerability and incapacity. Nations, like individuals, cannot demand respect merely by existing. They must earn it through demonstrated competence. When India revealed its nuclear capability, the world was compelled to reevaluate its place on the global stage. That revelation was not just about power, it was about respect. The same law applies to individuals. If you want others to take you seriously, you must first prove you are strong. Respect does not come from words, it comes from revealed strength. Think about how easily people dismiss those who remain weak. If you lack competence, you will be overlooked, ignored, or patronized. This is not cruelty. It is reality. Human beings naturally organize themselves around strength and capability. A person who reveals competence earns attention and influence. A nation that demonstrates strength commands recognition even from adversaries. If you are underestimated, the only way to change it is to reveal your hidden capacity. Words alone will not suffice. People pay attention when you act in a way that proves you cannot be dismissed. That is the power of revealed strength. Respect is not the same as fear. Fear can be forced, but it is unstable and temporary. Respect, on the other hand, endures because it is rooted in recognition of competence. When India's strength was revealed, it did not simply frighten. It forced others to acknowledge its legitimacy. For individuals, this principle is critical. You do not want people to fear you. You want them to respect you. Fear isolates, but respect elevates. Respect comes from showing the world that you are capable, disciplined, and willing to carry responsibility. The revelation of strength bridges the gap between being ignored and being taken seriously. This is why competence is so essential. People respect you not because you wish it, but because you demonstrate value. Competence means you have the ability to face problems and overcome them. It means you can shoulder burdens others cannot. In a world filled with chaos, competence is rare, and therefore deeply respected. Nations that cannot defend themselves are disregarded. Individuals who cannot master themselves are dismissed. But competence changes everything. Competence, revealed through action, forces others to reevaluate how they see you. It creates a new order where once there was disregard. That is how respect is born. The revelation of strength requires sacrifice. India did not arrive at its position overnight. It invested years of hidden labor. For an individual, the same principle applies. If you want respect, you cannot demand it. You must earn it by transforming yourself. That means discipline, sacrifice, and consistent effort. People respect you when they see evidence of strength that cannot be faked. Respect does not come from pretending to be competent. It comes from actually being competent. You cannot trick the world indefinitely. When you truly develop strength, you will not need to demand respect. It will come to you unasked. Think of the way others respond to you when you are competent. Their tone changes, their attention sharpens. They look at you differently because they recognize something solid, something undeniable. Nations gain respect the same way. Weakness invites interference, but strength sets boundaries. In your personal life, weakness invites exploitation, but strength establishes dignity. This is not arrogance, it is reality. You do not have to announce your strength. It is revealed through action, through consistency, through the way you carry yourself. That revelation transforms the way the world treats you. Respect follows naturally. It is also true that respect requires balance. Raw strength without control provokes fear, not respect. Competence is strength under discipline. Nations that reveal power recklessly are feared but not admired. Individuals who flaunt strength arrogantly are tolerated but not respected. The true revelation of strength is measured, controlled, and purposeful. It communicates responsibility as much as capability. This is why respect endures longer than fear. It recognizes that strength is not only present, but directed wisely. To be respected, your strength must be revealed in harmony with responsibility. Otherwise, it collapses into chaos. Revealed strength changes not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. When you prove your own competence, your identity transforms. You no longer live in the shadow of self-doubt. You recognize that you are capable of meeting challenges, and that recognition strengthens your spirit. Nations that reveal hidden power see themselves differently. They gain confidence, direction, and clarity. The same happens to individuals. The revelation of strength builds self-respect, which is even more vital than external respect. When you respect yourself, you stop tolerating mediocrity. You begin to live as someone worthy of respect. There is danger in remaining hidden too long. If you never reveal your strength, others will never know it exists. Worse, you may begin to doubt it yourself. Potential, when concealed forever, decays into weakness. Nations that hide their power indefinitely are dismissed or exploited. Individuals who never reveal their capability become trapped in invisibility. That invisibility corrodes the soul, leading to resentment and despair. The only way to break that cycle is to reveal what you are capable of. Respect requires revelation. Without it, you remain unseen, unheard, and unvalued, and no one can thrive in that condition. Respect is not given freely, and it should not be. It must be earned by the revelation of real, demonstrated competence. Nations earn respect through the discipline of power and responsibility. Individuals earn respect through the discipline of effort and character. This is not unfair. It is the structure of reality itself. If respect were given without merit, it would be meaningless. That is why revealed strength matters so deeply. It proves beyond words that you are worthy of recognition. And once that revelation occurs, everything about how you are treated begins to change. When hidden truth is revealed, it disrupts the order of things, and that disruption forces a reevaluation of reality. The revelation of India's nuclear power shocked the world because it shattered the assumptions that had been guiding international politics. In the same way, your life is guided by assumptions from society, from family, even from yourself, that limit what you believe is possible. When you choose to embrace truth, you dismantle those false assumptions. That is what transformation looks like. Chaos becomes order not because it disappears, but because truth reorganizes it into something higher. Every individual has chaos within, and truth is the only force strong enough to bring it into alignment. That is the meaning of transformation. The frightening thing about truth is that it cannot be controlled. Once revealed, it changes everything. This is why people hide from it. They know it will disrupt the comfortable patterns they've constructed. But comfort built on falsehood is fragile, and eventually it collapses. Nations hide their capacities, just as people hide their potential, because the truth unsettles others. Yet when the truth finally emerges, it commands recognition. That recognition is the first step toward a new order. Transformation cannot occur without revelation, and revelation is always destabilizing. But it is the instability of truth that forces growth. People fear chaos because it feels like dissolution, and in some sense it is. To confront chaos is to allow parts of yourself, or your world, to die. But what dies is not your essence, it is the falsehoods you clung to. India's revelation created chaos for the global order, but that chaos birthed a new balance of power. In your life, Revealing truth has the same effect. The old structures collapse, but something truer replaces them. To resist chaos is to resist transformation. To embrace it, guided by truth, is to reorder yourself into something stronger. Chaos is not your enemy, it is the field in which truth builds order. Think about the lies we tell ourselves. I am not capable. I am not worthy. I cannot change. These lies are protective. They shield us from responsibility. But they are also prisons. The moment you speak truth against those lies, chaos erupts. Your old identity begins to crumble. That is frightening, but it is necessary. Just as nations must step into a new identity when hidden strength is revealed, so must individuals. Truth tears down the false, and in doing so, creates room for the real. Transformation requires destruction of the inadequate self, so the authentic self can emerge. The order created by truth is not comfortable. It demands responsibility, discipline, and courage. But that order is meaningful, and meaning is far more valuable than comfort. When India revealed its hidden strength, it did not make the world safer in the short term. It made it more complex, more dangerous, yet also more real. That is what truth does. It replaces illusions with reality, and reality is always harder. But reality is also where growth happens. When you align your life with truth, you are no longer living in a fragile illusion. You are standing on solid ground, even if that ground shakes. Notice how truth always compels respect. Lies might deceive temporarily, but once exposed, they collapse. Strength built on deception eventually crumbles, but when truth is revealed, even those who oppose it are forced to acknowledge it. That is why nations respect revealed strength. That is why people respect revealed authenticity. If you are truthful, your chaos transforms into competence, and competence commands respect. You cannot lie your way into meaning. You cannot fake your way into transformation. Only truth produces lasting order, and only by embracing it can you shock the world with who you truly are. Revealing truth requires immense courage because it is always costly. When India unveiled its hidden power, it risked backlash, judgment, and fear. In your life, revealing truth risks rejection, failure, and misunderstanding. But the alternative is worse, to live forever unseen, hidden beneath lies. The price of truth is high, but the price of hiding is unbearable. You cannot grow while concealing who you are. Transformation demands revelation, even if it costs you comfort. Truth is not safe, but it is necessary. Safety is not the highest goal. Becoming what you could be, that is the highest goal. Transformation begins with small revelations. You do not leap immediately into the fullness of your strength. You reveal truth step by step, and each step provokes chaos, but also growth. Nations build capacity over decades before revealing it. Individuals build character the same way. Each truthful act, each confrontation with chaos, each embrace of responsibility is a revelation. And gradually, the order of your life shifts. You move from weakness to strength, from confusion to clarity. That is the slow, deliberate process of transformation. It is not sudden, but when revealed, it looks shocking to the world. The world itself is structured by this principle. Chaos and order are not enemies. They are partners in the dance of existence. Too much order is tyranny. Too much chaos is destruction. But truth allows chaos to transform into higher order. That is why revelation is so powerful. It forces the world to rebalance itself. When India's truth emerged, it forced nations to reorganize their assumptions. When your truth emerges, it forces your life to reorganize its direction. That reorganization is not comfortable, but it is necessary. Without it, you remain trapped in stagnation. With it, you evolve into who you were meant to be. You cannot wait forever for truth to reveal itself. You must choose to bring it forward. You must face your chaos willingly, or it will consume you unwillingly. Nations that delay too long are overtaken by history. Individuals who delay too long are overtaken by regret. The courage to reveal truth is the dividing line between stagnation and transformation. And while the revelation will shock others, the deeper shock is to yourself. You realize you were always more capable, more resilient, more powerful than you allowed yourself to believe. That is the ultimate transformation, to live as the truth of who you are.